On January 15, 2007, the Dark Portal opened and the Burning Crusade expansion went live. At the time of making this video, we don't know when or even if Classic Burning Crusade will become a thing. Hello everyone, my name is Icosial, and I'm actually really hoping for Burning Crusade like I think a lot of people are. But in this video, I'm going to talk about not necessarily transfer and copy like I did in my last video. I'm not going to talk about class balance or anything like that. What I want to talk about is the content and how it will be brought to us. If we go back to Classic WoW, they only had the 1.12 client, and we got this 6 phase. It was originally 4 phases, but then it became 6, and then when it was brought to us, it was like phase 1, phase 1.5, then 2, then 2.5, and so forth. They were always kind of changing things, and they're not done yet. So that was what we got, and the reason for that was because it was all based on the 1.12. The question is, what does Blizzard actually have for Burning Crusade? Do they actually have patch 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, and so forth? Do they have it all the way up to 2.4? I've been scouring the internet everywhere, and I can't find a single answer on that. So I guess Blizzard has never really disclosed what they have. But if somebody knows that information, please let me know. I'm really interested to know what patches they actually have for data and what they can build off of, because that's really going to determine what we're going to get with Classic TBC. So let's kind of take a look at those patches and what they had in them. Well, if you remember, when Burning Crusade came out, patch 2.0, I think it was actually 2.0.5, you had a ton of content. You had PvP had Eye of the Storm, you had 16 dungeons, you had 9 raids, which was tier 4, 5, and 6 up to Hyjal. Black Temple did not come out until patch 2.1. And I think it was Gods of Zul'Aman came out patch 2.3, and Fury of the Sunwell came out 2.4, if I remember correctly. So that was a lot of content to come out right at the beginning. I mean, right at the beginning we had tiers 4, 5, and 6 available. But does that mean people are going to be able to rush through and just get tier 6 like within a week or two of TBC coming out? I don't think so. And the reason why is because Burning Crusade had this wonderful little thing called attunements. So I'm sure everybody remembers this chart, this huge convoluted chart showing everything that you had to accomplish. And it wasn't just you, it was your entire raid group. It was everybody who wanted to raid in your guild had to get this stuff accomplished. There was even a time early on that you could not be summoned up to Tempest Keep. So everybody had to have all that stuff done before you could even get into tier 5. So it's my opinion that we absolutely need to have all those attunements in Burning Crusade, because that was such a huge part of the experience, and it was such a huge accomplishment for your raid or even just yourself to be able to get all this stuff unlocked so you can start raiding and going through all that high level content. If that's not there, well, I think Burning Crusade is going to be a big flop. It's not going to have that magic that it really had. Some might look at it as a pain in the butt, but you know what? Man, it was a real accomplishment to be able to get all that stuff done and to be able to get into that next tier. It was great. At least in my opinion, it was. I had a lot of fun doing it. So what worries me is if Blizzard decides to just do 2.4, base it all on that, because there's other things that came down the line if you just base it off of 2.4. Number one is the attunements were wiped out. You no longer had to do long quest chains to get into Karazhan. You just walk right in. You also had a lot of the raid nerfs. And you also had, I think it was 2.3, had the leveling revamp, and that squished some of the, or no, it was an XP boost is what it was. It wasn't a squish. They give you an XP boost. And you got your mount at level 30. It was to help speed people up to get through, get to the end game, new players or alts or whatever. Also, what happened in patch 2.3 was in order to get the heroic keys, which, and this is all part of those attunements, you no longer had to have revered reputation, you only needed honored to get that heroic key. So that was a big roadblock that was removed. I mean, you almost get to honored, if not with some of the reputations or factions, you would get that just through normal questing. So it was a big barrier that was removed. And that stuff needs to remain revered. So what I would like to see for Burning Crusade is if Blizzard has all the patches, we need to go through it patch by patch this time. Not give us 2.4 with all the nerfs and everything else that came with it. Don't have all that. Go through the patches. It might be a little bit easier to do progressive itemization that way if you guys have the data, but then you also come into questions with, well, what about class balance? So this is where it gets a little sticky, and I don't want to talk too much about class balance because that'll be that's a video in and of itself. So what I'm really concerned with is how the content is going to be brought to us, right? And so whatever they decide, I think the attunements need to be in there. I believe revered to get into heroics needs to be in there. Leave the normal gated stuff the way it was gated with attunements. That has to be in there. That has to be a part of the Burning Crusade experience, and it needs to remain in there. I would even go so far as to say that even when you eventually come out with Fury of the Sunwell in Classic TBC, keep those attunements in there. I will say that I don't mind having the leveling boost and the level 30 mount. I don't mind that so much. This is just me personally. I don't mind that much being at the game in the start, because there's going to be a lot of Draenei Shaman and Blood Elf Paladins that are trying to level, and if they do transfers or copies of tunes or whatever, if everybody starts at level 1, I think that'll be very helpful, because everybody's going to want to get to the actual TBC content. They're not going to want to do the vanilla stuff all over again. So I'm not too worried about having that XP boost. But the main thing, and I stress this, Blizzard, I stress this so much, you absolutely have to have attunements, and you need to have no raid nerfs. Well, okay, wait a minute, hold on. I believe Kael'thas was unkillable because he actually needed a nerf to be defeated, if I'm correct. And I can't remember when that nerf happened. So, I mean, the content does have to be somewhat beatable, but we are better players. I guess that's another question for another time. But don't do the raid nerfs. Keep the attunement. Keep the revered. There's going to be people that are going to rush the content. You know what? Let them do it. But there are so many other players that are going to want that experience again. And there's a bunch of new players who have never had that experience. And trust me, they're going to want that experience, man. It was awesome. It was awesome. If you've never done it before, it was awesome. You really felt like you were accomplishing something. So anyways, that's my opinion of this. That's how I think Burning Crusade Classic should be brought to us. Let me know your opinions. How do you think it should be brought to us? And I'd always like to talk to all of you guys on the comments and go back and forth and share opinions and whatnot. It's great. So let me know what you guys think. And hopefully I will see you guys in one of my streams on Friday nights. And I guess that's all I'm going to talk about now. So take care of yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you later. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and click on the bell to be notified of new content I create, or click on any of these links here. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.